Alrighty, folks, One Rental at a Time is a special channel because we bring on a diverse set of experts. On Monday, we get Taylor from Life Goal Investments, a 10-year Wall Street veteran who brings a different slant to all of our discussions. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. This is exciting times with earnings season that's off right now, FedNow, a lot of central bank digital currency talk. So let's dive right in.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot going on, right? We talked about the BRICS and, the dollar plummeting to earth and, just poofing and non-existing. Then we have central bank digital currencies and FedNow, right? FedNow just being rolled out. Some people are calling it the freeway or on-ramp to a central bank digital currency, which then leads to all kinds of other social scores and things of that nature. But I thought I would talk to you. What is FedNow? What isn't FedNow? We'll start with that. What's going on? What is FedNow?
Yeah, FedNow is a pretty simple process. So like if you're not familiar with what it is, think Venmo or PayPal to begin with. A way to exchange money back and forth between individuals, but it is bigger than that. It's a way for us to exchange money between ourselves and a business, business to business, etc. And the way it works is from your own bank account. If you bank with a constituent that is a participant of FedNow, and all banks, credit unions have access to be a participant of this, essentially it's a way to send or receive money directly into and out of your own bank account. So different than a Venmo where you move money to the side into the third-party app, then send money to someone, then they move it aside and put it in their bank account. This is a way for two bank accounts to interact, and the intermediary in the middle is the Federal Reserve software system. And so the Federal Reserve, I go, hey, Michael, I owe you 10 grand. The FedNow system looks at my bank account and says, yep, he has it, bang. And it's supposed to happen instantaneously. And it's supposed to happen 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So banks and institutions don't have to be open. And this payment flow system can work without, banking hours.
So I would go as far as to say is that's a good innovation, right? Today, I have to take 10 grand from pick a bank, move it to PayPal. Then I go to PayPal, move it to you. Then you take it from PayPal and move to the bank. So I would argue and say that FedNow is really just bank-to-bank transfers. Is that kind of a simplistic way of saying it?
Yeah, and it's funny. So we posted something on our Instagram and TikTok page a while back, and we have some foreign followers from other countries, and Brazil was at the top of the heap. India was at the top of the heap. Sweden was at the top of the heap. All these European countries going, hey, guys, welcome to the 21st century. Like, where have you been? This has been working successfully in our country now for a decade. Join the party.
Okay, so FedNow is a good thing, in my opinion, right? It's to their point. I didn't even know that, getting us into the 21st century. So that's cool. But why do I see people spinning it as the on-ramp or entree or amuse-bouche or whatever you want to call it to the central bank digital currency? Is it just because of the name and it's something they're using the name to say, hey, look, it's a central bank digital currency? I mean, was it just named wrong or what's going on?
So I think it's a couple, there's fears out there. So I'll talk directly to that. The initial fear that everyone has right out of the gates is the government is now able to track your every transaction. So, hey, now you're buying coffee. They know you're buying coffee. Now you're buying petroleum now, or gas. And there have been things that go as far to say as they're going to start tracking your carbon footprint. And I kind of look at that and I go, guys, like, one, my life is not that interesting. It really isn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got Easy Pass on my car as soon as I could because I thought it would make my life easier. I didn't care if the government knew I was in Florida versus New York State. Now, that's just, different opinions from different people. Some people are more concerned with that. I'm personally not. So that's the initial fear is that, hey, more
Big
government
Brother's
intervention.
watching. Okay.
Correct.
Big Brother's.
So
I can see. Yeah, I can see why that would be. I get it. I see that. But I think it's so again, transactions in and out of a bank. Yeah, so I get that going through a federal
with the Fed being the middleman.
Yeah,
so the Fed can see both ways.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
I get that. I understand that.
And my take on that is, again, like I weigh the convenience factor of that as being more important to me than the potential ability for the government to track my data. And I'm not saying that they won't be able to, because if they have a view into your bank account, very well. The other point of this is, though, like that has to be, understood. You don't have to use this process.
Right.
Even if your bank is a participant in this, use your credit card. You can still use a credit card. You can still use
write
cash.
a check. I could write you a check saying Taylor $10,000 and mail it to you.
You should have heard. You should have heard the outside U.S. people when I made a comment about checks. They're like, "My God, you're joking me, right? You guys are using checks." I'm like, "Yeah, we are."
They still exist.
It was baffling to them. But yeah, get back to your other point. What the big fear is that this is a swing in the direction of everything moving digitally. And we won't have a currency that is US dollar as we know it today. Instead, it will be a central bank digital form of that currency. And that compounds the issue more widely as to the government's ability to track. Also, the government's ability to do certain things given certain economic environments, like inflation's getting away from us. Okay, can they cut the money supply proportionately across whomever, or even disproportionately affect some people's money supply more so than others? Or you have back taxes, Michael. Haven't you paid them? I can see in your account that you have, or child support, or all of these other things. So I see FedNow personally as a good thing. I do understand the downside that, yes, they have the ability to see through to things that they don't at this point.
Let me ask you about that. I want to ask one, because again, what I'm hearing about FedNow is they are essentially a bridge bank to bank.
Correct.
They will facilitate, in our example, the $10,000 movement. But that is, I think, a far cry from going into my bank account and looking at all my transactions.
100%. And so there's two things here to your exact point. They might be able to see all the transaction you place on the FedNow platform.
That's cool. I get it. Right. That's an audit. That's cool. But that's shouldn't be all my transactions, I don't think. Am I wrong?
No, correct. No, and guys, there's going to be safeguards put in place here too, because the government is not, we are more concerned as Americans than other countries are. I asked the people that responded, like, "Hey, welcome to the 21st century." I'm like, "Hey, how do you guys, how did you take to this? Was it a concern, and how has it worked?" And their overarching response, without a single defaulter to this comment, is it's a great process. It systematizes everything. It makes everything efficient and immediate. But to your point, you don't have to use it. So don't use it on transactions that you don't want the government to see if that's your fear. But yes, I think FedNow is a good thing. In my opinion, I get the downside to it. My overarching opinion is it is a positive for efficiency. It can be used, it can be not used, etc. But to say now that this is going to become a central bank digital currency, that is something that takes kind of that next step. Because if every single bit of currency that we have is on a digital platform controlled by the government, as opposed to, my dollars and cents that are in my own pocket that I'm making decisions on, and their ability to make a widespread systematic decision, I can see that being a little bit scarier to the average person.
I mean, FedNow is plumbing. I think whoever
named that's well put.
I think they named it poorly, because I think it gives the conspiracy theorists a reason to say, look at what they're doing. I can't see how plumbing becomes a currency. That's a leap too far for me intellectually. But the other thing I hear people talking about is, central bank currency, basically we're all going to have bank accounts with the Fed. And unless I'm wrong, that's illegal. The Fed is not allowed to have bank accounts with individuals. It's a very select group of banks that they have bank accounts with. So that's always perplexed me. It's like, how the heck, it's like illegal for the Fed to bank, for Americans to bank with the Fed. So that's always like, I don't understand that point.
Yeah, there's been a firewall intentionally placed between those two constituencies of the government and the banking with the individual at the end of the day. And the intermediary there are the chartered banking and chartered credit unions that, we store our money at.
Yeah. And that's why it's always so hard to become a bank, right? People talking about opening a bank, you got to get chartered, and that's not an easy process. So I don't know how many banks there are. Let's call it 10,000 banks in the country. I have no idea if that's even close. But to go from 10,000 accounts with the Fed to, I don't know, was it 300 million or something?
Correct.
I'm like, I just never understood that. Seems a step too far.
It's a big step. And admittedly, Jay Powell has said on camera that, hey, we have thought about the opportunity, or opportunity is not the right word. We have had discussions on a central bank digital currency. And that's when kind of that fear started to really become big. So when you do hear that they're thinking about it, I do, people do get, their alarms, their antennas go up. So, but to your point, I think that, hopefully, big government is not what this country in general was founded upon. Hopefully that's not, some direction that we're taking with a central bank digital currency for the government to then take away capitalistic behavior and turn us into something that they can control.
Yeah. So let's close on central bank digital currency. I will say that, so that is something that I do think eventually happens, eventually being the keyword. And where I see this coming is, it's probably going to be used a lot like food stamps or other programs, maybe even Social Security. I'm just thinking about all of the, I don't know, money, for lack of a better word, that the government sends out to individuals.
Right.
I think that will, it's like, it will become like a credit card or a prepaid card or something of that nature. Now, it'll still be dollarized. I think you won't have a price for dollars and a price for digital currency. It'll still be the dollar. But I think that comes, I think.
Yeah. My parents just went through the Social Security process last week, and they were like, you have no idea how arduous of a process it is, how clunky of a process it is. My father and mother were filling out the information together simultaneously, sitting next to each other on two different computers. My father got through providing the exact same content that my mother didn't get through with. And so they said, try back next week. And she's like, we'll try back and do what differently? Like, this is what just went through successfully. So yeah, to your point, there's some inefficiency in our system, and that may be one that could be cleared up by such ruling.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Taylor, you do a lot of stuff on social media. You are bringing humor and experience to it. What are the pages?
Yeah, follow us at Life Goal Investments, both on TikTok and Instagram. We try to put out one, sometimes two or three, even if the market's going crazy, bits of content a day.
Yeah, you do an amazing job, man. Great work. Thanks.
You're the man, Michael. Thank you.